Hello, this is Darren L. Hammond, and I am your teacher for English 102. We've been working on our academic skills portfolio. Whether you've known it or not, you've been putting the pieces together for this portfolio by doing the readings and annotating your reading. So this little slideshow is to help you prepare to turn this in and be successful on it. The annotation code is the first part of this portfolio, and also recognize that this is part one of the academic skills portfolio, and part two we will start working on soon. The annotation code is your method for marking up what you read, and you simply have to create a code that shows me what you're going to do to mark up your reading. You just have to put this in a simple table for me. You can use columns. I don't really care about the format of it as long as it looks kind of nice. If you're not familiar with tables, then you can even, if you look down at the bullet point example, you can simply put the underline and then tab over a few spaces and then put what that indicates in your reading. So use a word processing program that you are familiar with, and it doesn't matter to me what you use as long as it's something that's standard and that I will be able to read. You will need to put all of this portfolio into one document and save it as one document, so bear that in mind as well. The annotation code should be on a page by itself. Put your name on it and the information that I will need, such as the date and your class number and so forth. Excuse me. The next part is the actual samples of the annotation, and what I'm looking for here is to see your annotation code at work in some of the essays that we've been reading. Now, we will have read about 7 or 8 when you're ready to turn this in, and you can choose 4 of those to show me samples of. And there are a couple ways of doing this. The easiest way is to scan the document into a PDF file and then put that into your portfolio document. If you don't have access to a scanner, you can easily go to a copy service store, and they can do that for you, or you can simply take a photo. If you've got a digital camera or even an iPhone, you can take a picture of a few pages, and I don't need every page, but a few pages. I indicate here 4. So 4 pages of the essay showing your markings, the questions, the underlining, the highlighting, and all of that. Now, if the highlighting does not appear in color, I'm not concerned about that. But you do need to make it dark enough that the highlighter will show up in the copy so I can see what you've highlighted. People use post-it notes especially if they're using rental books, and post-it notes are fine. You can just make a copy or scan that, and that will work. I just want to see samples of your annotation in action. We haven't talked or read specifically about asking questions in your reading, but you do this naturally as you read through a piece. You ask yourself what is meant by, for example, epistemology in the Drinking Hemlock piece. What does the author mean by epistemology? And that would be an example of a learning content question. So it's getting at your understanding of the text itself. Now, there are other kinds of questions that I call personal content questions. These are excellent too, and the reason why they're useful is they connect you personally with the reading. So I give the example here: when have I seen the word epistemology before? Notice the difference between that and the first question. The second question is personalizing it. When have I seen this? What does epistemology remind me of? An example of this would be an epistle is a letter, and that reminds me, the word epistemology reminds me of a letter. And so that's a personal content question. Those are actually very valuable in learning material because they connect with memories that you already have in your brain. And that's why I have you include those as well. Now, I want you to type up at least 20 of these kinds of questions that you've written in the margins or on post-its or however it is that you're doing it. You may not have been writing that many questions, and that's okay too, but you will need to generate 20 questions of the 4 essays. So it's 20 questions total, not 20 for each essay. So if you wanted to break it down, it would be 5 questions per essay. So a total of 20 questions. I don't want anybody giving me 100 questions. That's above and beyond what we need to do. The final element in this project is the reflective journal entry, and I call it a journal entry because I want to distinguish it from an essay. This is not a formal piece of writing that you have to revise and polish and work into a formal structure. It's just getting your ideas down on paper. And 250 words you'll find isn't that much. You're welcome to go over that if you would like, but 250 words is what is required. And I want you to reflect on all that you've done to this point and what you've learned through the process. So what have you learned about the way you read? What have you learned about the way you study? What have you learned about applying these things in other classes? Those are just some starting questions that might get you going. And after you have completed that little journal entry, you are ready to move to the next step and submit the portfolio. And it is important that it's in one document, so make sure that your scanned copies or your PDF files are embedded within that one document that you're going to submit to me through Moodle, and then I will evaluate it through Moodle and give you comments and feedback, and of course the grade will be forthcoming. I think you'll find as you work your way through this that it is not all that hard, and that you've accomplished already much of the work for the portfolio. So it's not as if you're starting new this week on the portfolio. You've already been reading the material, you've already been annotating it, you've been thinking about your annotating code, and it should be a smooth process to put this together. Let me know what questions you have and how I can help you, and best of luck to you. Thank you very much.